Zuri Okafor's hands trembled as she mopped the marble floor of the private lounge, her worn sneakers squeaking against the polished surface. The exclusive Chicago nightclub had emptied hours ago, leaving only silence and the chemical scent of cleaning solution. At 28, she'd cleaned enough floors to know the difference between honest money and blood money, and this place reeked of the latter. "Mama's going to bring home pancakes tomorrow," she whispered to herself, thinking of 6-year-old Jordan sleeping in their frigid studio apartment across town. Her second job started in 4 hours. Sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. The gunshot shattered the silence. Zuri dropped to her knees, her heart hammering against her ribs. Voices erupted from the back office, Korean, angry, deadly. She should run. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. The office door exploded open. A man stumbled out, blood blooming across his white shirt. Even dying, he moved with lethal grace. Their eyes met, his dark and fathomless, hers wide with terror. He collapsed 10 feet away. She crawled toward him, her nursing school training overriding her fear. He was still breathing, barely. Woo Jin-an had survived worse than a bullet to the shoulder, but the poison coating the slug was new. His vision blurred as the cleaning woman crawled toward him, her dark skin luminous under the club's dim lighting. Nigerian. His mind registered distantly. Beautiful. Terrified. "Don't," he rasped in English, his Korean accent thick with pain. "Run." "You're poisoned," she said, her own accent melodic. Igbo roots softened by American influence. Her hands moved across his body with surprising competence, checking his wounds. "This isn't just blood loss. Your pupils are dilated. Pulse erratic." Smart. The observation cut through his fading consciousness. "They'll come back," he managed. "To go." Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Zuri's breath caught. She recognized that sound. Men with guns, men with purpose. Her son's face flashed through her mind. If she ran, they'd hunt her as a witness. If she stayed, the decision crystallized in an instant. She grabbed Woo Jin's face and pressed her lips to his, her body covering his, as the men burst into the room. She kissed him desperately, her hand sliding to his wound, applying pressure while making it look like passion. "Baby, you scared me," she gasped against his mouth, her accent thickening deliberately. "I heard noise." 3 men froze in the doorway, guns raised. The leader, scarred, brutal, lowered his weapon slightly. "Who the fuck is this?" Woo Jin's eyes snapped open. Despite the poison coursing through his veins, his mind sharpened. She was giving him cover, buying him time. His hand found her waist, the touch sending unexpected electricity through his dying body. "My woman," he growled in Korean, then switched to English. "Leave us." The lie tasted sweeter than it should have. The scarred man studied Zuri with predatory interest. She forced herself to meet his gaze, praying her terror red as indignation. "You interrupting something," she said, channeling every woman who'd ever faced down danger with nothing but attitude. "Get out." Minutes stretched like hours. Finally the men retreated, their laughter echoing down the corridor. The moment the door closed, Zuri's composure shattered. "We need a hospital," she whispered urgently. "That poison—" "No hospitals." Woo Jin's grip on her waist tightened. "They have people everywhere. My doctor. Call Day." She found his phone with shaking hands, dialing the only number marked with a star. A gruff voice answered in Korean. Zuri thrust the phone at Woo Jin, who gave rapid instructions before his arm went slack. "Stay with me," she begged, her nursing instincts taking over. She elevated his legs, monitored his breathing, kept pressure on the wound. "What's your name?" "Woo Jin." His accent made it sound like poetry. "You?" "Zuri." "Beautiful name." His eyes drifted closed. "Beautiful woman." The compliment shouldn't have warmed her. This man was dangerous, the kind her mother had warned her about when she'd left Lagos for America 5 years ago. But his pulse was weakening under her fingers, and something primal in her refused to let him die. A man arrived 20 minutes later, Korean, 50s, carrying a medical bag. He assessed the situation with clinical detachment before nodding at Zuri. "You saved his life." The kissing, quick thinking, made them believe you belonged here. "I just reacted," she said numbly. "Smart reaction." The doctor began treating Woo Jin, extracting the bullet with practiced efficiency. "You're a nurse?" "Dropped out. Couldn't afford tuition." The admission stung. She'd been 3 semesters from her degree when Jordan's father disappeared, leaving her with a baby and crushing debt. "You work here?" "Cleaning crew." The doctor's expression shifted. Pity mixed with respect. "Go home. Forget this night." But as Zuri gathered her supplies and headed for the door, Wu Jin's eyes opened. Even semi-conscious, his gaze held her captive. "Wait," he commanded softly. She should have run. Instead, she waited. 3 days later, Zuri stared at the eviction notice taped to her apartment door. 30 days. The words blurred as Jordan tugged her hand. "Mama, I'm hungry." "I know, baby." She had $14 until Friday. $14 for food, bus fare, everything. The math didn't work. It never did. She'd picked up extra shifts at the club since that night, scrubbing twice as hard to avoid thinking about the Korean man with death in his eyes and silk in his voice. The doctor had assured her Wu Jin survived. That should have been the end of it. The knock on her door came at sunset. A man in an expensive suit stood in the hallway, one of Wu Jin's people, she recognized with sinking dread. "Miss Okafor, Mr. Ahn requests your presence." "I can't." She glanced at Jordan, who watched cartoons on their ancient television. "My son, a car is waiting." "The boy comes too." Fear coiled in her stomach. You didn't say no to men like Wu Jin Ahn. Everyone in Chicago's Korean community knew the Ahn family name, whispered with respect and terror. She'd saved his life, yes, but that didn't guarantee her safety. The drive took them to Lincoln Park, where mansions rose like fortresses. The estate they stopped at took her breath away. Modern architecture blending with traditional Korean elements, security that screamed power and wealth. Jordan's eyes went wide. "Mama, is this a palace?" "Something like that," she murmured. Wu Jin waited in a study lined with leather-bound books and Asian art. He'd recovered remarkably. The only evidence of his injury, a slight stiffness in his posture. He wore a black shirt with 4 buttons undone, revealing the edge of a tattoo on his neck. A tiger, she realized. Appropriate. His gaze found her immediately, something flickering in those dark eyes that made her skin warm. "Miss Okafor." He spoke English for her benefit, his accent wrapping around the syllables. "Thank you for coming." "Did I have a choice?" The words escaped before she could stop them. His lips curved, not quite a smile. "No. Honest, at least." Jordan pressed against her leg, and Wu Jin's attention shifted to the boy. Something in his expression softened imperceptibly. "Your son, Jordan." She placed a protective hand on her son's shoulder. "Whatever you want. He's not part of this." "Relax, Miss Okafor. I'm not a monster." Wu Jin gestured to a woman who appeared from the doorway. "Mrs. Chen will take Jordan to the kitchen. We have ice cream." Jordan looked up at Zuri, who nodded reluctantly. The boy followed Mrs. Chen, his excitement over ice cream overriding his wariness. Alone with Wu Jin, the air thickened. "You saved my life," he said without preamble. "I pay my debts. I don't want money. Everyone wants money." He studied her with unnerving intensity. "But you need it. Eviction notice, 2 jobs, dropping out of nursing school. Should I continue?" Zuri's blood chilled. "You investigated me. I investigate everyone who enters my life." He crossed the room, moving with predatory grace despite his injury. "You're Nigerian, 5 years in America. Work visa expires in 8 months. Single mother. Jordan's father abandoned you when the boy was 1. You send money to your mother in Lagos every month, even when you can barely feed yourself." Tears burned behind her eyes. "What do you want?" "I want to help you." The words should have brought relief. Instead, suspicion flared. "Why?" "Because you helped me when you could have run. Because you're intelligent, resourceful, and desperate." He stopped 3 feet away, close enough that she caught his scent. Expensive cologne mixed with something darker. "I need a live-in housekeeper. The position includes housing in the West Wing, salary of $70,000 annually, health insurance, and a college fund for your son." Zuri's knees nearly buckled. $70,000. She currently made 23. "What's the catch?" "No catch. You clean? Cook occasionally. Maintain the household." His gaze held hers. "And you forget everything you saw that night." "I already forgot." "Good." He extended his hand. "Do we have an agreement?" She stared at his hand. Elegant fingers, a scar across his knuckles, raw power barely contained. Every instinct warned her this was a mistake. You didn't make deals with men like Wu Jinan and walk away unchanged. But Jordan needed food. They needed a home. Her visa needed sponsorship. Zuri placed her hand in his. The contact sparked through her like electricity. His grip was firm, warm, commanding. Their eyes locked, and something passed between them. Recognition, perhaps, or something more dangerous. "One rule," Wu Jin said quietly, his thumb brushing her palm before releasing her. "You and Jordan are under my protection now. Anyone touches you, they answer to me." It should have sounded threatening. Instead, it sounded like a promise. Moving into Wu Jin's mansion felt surreal. The West Wing apartment was larger than any place Zuri had ever lived. 3 bedrooms, a full kitchen, windows overlooking gardens that seemed impossible in Chicago's urban sprawl. Jordan raced through the rooms with unbridled joy, his laughter echoing off marble floors. "Mama, I have my own bathroom." Zuri couldn't speak past the lump in her throat. For the first time in 6 years, she wouldn't choose between electricity and food. Jordan would sleep without hearing gunshots through paper-thin walls. She could breathe, but the cost of that breath remained unclear. Wu Jin maintained polite distance those first weeks. He left early, returned late, their interactions limited to brief exchanges about household needs. Yet Zuri felt his presence everywhere, in the Korean art adorning the walls, the scent of his cologne lingering in rooms he'd passed through, the weight of his gaze when he thought she wasn't looking. She learned his routines. Coffee at 6, black, no sugar. He preferred Korean food but ate American dishes without complaint. His study was sacred. She cleaned it only when he specifically requested. The household staff, a small, tight-knit group of Korean immigrants, treated him with reverence bordering on worship. "Mr. An is a good man," Mrs. Chen told her one afternoon, her English heavily accented. "He saved my family from debt collectors, brought us to America. Many people owe him their lives." "He's a criminal," Zuri said quietly. Mrs. Chen smiled sadly. "In this world, good men don't survive. Mr. An survives, and he protects his people." The distinction troubled Zuri more than she wanted to admit. Jordan, unburdened by adult complexity, adored Wu Jin. The Mafia boss showed surprising patience with the 6-year-old, teaching him simple Korean phrases and allowing him to help with paperwork that was certainly nothing a child should see. Wu Jin kept those documents hidden, of course, but his willingness to spend time with Jordan revealed cracks in his intimidating facade. "Annyeonghaseyo," Jordan greeted Wu Jin one evening, his pronunciation charmingly mangled. Wu Jin's rare smile appeared. "Annyeong, Jordan, very good." "What does that mean?" Zuri asked from the kitchen doorway, where she'd been preparing dinner. "Hello," Wu Jin translated. His gaze shifted to her, and the smile faded into something more intense. "You're picking up Korean too." "Accidentally. Hard not to when everyone here speaks it." She wiped her hands on her apron. "Dinner in 20 minutes. Jollof rice and grilled chicken." "Hope that's okay." "Nigerian food?" His interest sharpened. "I've never tried it." "Then you're missing out." The words came easier now, their strange domesticity settling into routine. "It's nothing fancy. It smells incredible." The compliment warmed her more than it should have. She retreated to the kitchen, hyper-aware of his presence even rooms away. This was dangerous territory. Wu Jin An wasn't just her employer. He was a man who commanded empires built on violence. Getting comfortable with him was foolish. Yet when they sat down for dinner, an occurrence that had become increasingly frequent, the conversation flowed naturally. Wu Jin asked about Lagos, about her family, about her abandoned dreams of becoming a nurse. He listened with genuine interest, his questions insightful and respectful. "Your mother raised you alone?" he asked, serving himself more jollof rice with obvious appreciation. "Yes. My father died when I was young. She worked 3 jobs to send me to university." Zuri's throat tightened. "Coming to America was supposed to make our lives better. I was going to send for her, give her the retirement she deserved." "You still can. On a housekeeper's salary." She laughed bitterly. "Maybe in 20 years. Wu Jin's jaw tightened. "You're worth more than you believe." The intensity in his voice made her pulse quicken. Jordan, oblivious to the tension, chattered about his day at the new school Wu Jin had enrolled him in. Private, prestigious, astronomically expensive. After Jordan went to bed, Zuri found Wu Jin in his study, paperwork spread across his desk. She should have left him alone. Instead, she knocked softly. "Come in." He looked up, and the exhaustion in his eyes surprised her. Beneath the dangerous exterior lived a man carrying immense weight. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For Jordan's school. For everything. You've thanked me a dozen times. I'll probably thank you a dozen more." She hesitated in the doorway. "Can I ask you something?" "Always. That night at the club. Why did you go along with my lie? You could have told them I was just a witness. Let them decide what to do with me." Wu Jin leaned back in his chair, his gaze never leaving hers. "Because in that moment you chose to save me instead of yourself. That kind of courage is rare. And because—" He paused, something flickering across his features. "When you kissed me, even though it was survival, I felt something I hadn't felt in years." "What?" "Alive." The admission hung between them, heavy with implication. Zuri's breath caught. She should leave, should maintain professional distance, should remember that this man was dangerous. Instead, she asked, "Do you regret being alive?" "Every day," he said softly. "Until recently." The weight of his words settled over her. She understood that feeling, the exhaustion of survival, the grinding monotony of just existing. But lately, waking up in this house, cooking meals Wu Jin genuinely enjoyed, watching Jordan thrive, she'd felt glimpses of something beyond mere survival. "I should let you work," she said, her voice unsteady. "Zuri." Her name on his lips sounded like a caress. "That kiss saved my life, but it also complicated everything." "How?" "Because now I can't stop thinking about it." Her heart hammered. This was crossing a line they couldn't uncross. "Wu Jin." "I know." He stood, moving around the desk with controlled grace. "You work for me. You depend on me. Anything between us would be inappropriate, possibly coercive. I'm aware of the power imbalance." "Then why are you telling me this?" He stopped 3 feet away, close enough that she felt the heat radiating from his body. "Because I'm tired of pretending I don't notice you, the way you sing while cooking, how you teach Jordan to be gentle and strong simultaneously, your intelligence, your resilience, your beauty." His voice dropped. "I notice everything, Zuri, and it's driving me insane." She should shut this down, should remind him of boundaries, propriety, the 100 reasons this was impossible. But honesty compelled her to whisper, "I notice you too." His sharp inhale was audible. "That's dangerous." "I know." They stood frozen, the air between them charged with possibilities neither dared voice. Finally, Wu Jin stepped back, putting safe distance between them. "We can't," he said firmly. "I won't take advantage of your situation." "What if I wanted you to?" The words escaped before she could stop them. His eyes darkened. "Zuri—" A phone buzzed urgently. Wu Jin glanced at the screen, his expression hardening instantly. "I have to go. Emergency." "Is it dangerous?" "Always." He grabbed his jacket, then paused at the door. "Lock the doors, don't wait up. Be careful." Something soft flickered in his gaze. "You sound like you care." "I do." The admission cost her, despite knowing I shouldn't. Wu Jin crossed back to her in 3 strides. For one breathless moment she thought he might kiss her. Instead, his hand cupped her cheek, a touch so gentle it broke something inside her. "When I get back," he said quietly, "we're going to talk about this properly. About what we both want, what's possible, what isn't." "Agreed?" She nodded, unable to speak. He left, and Zuri stood in the empty study, her cheek burning where he touched her. This was insanity. Falling for Wu Jinan would destroy her carefully rebuilt life. But her heart, traitorous and foolish, didn't seem to care. Hours later, still awake, she heard gunshots in the distance, sharp cracks that sent ice through her veins. She grabbed her phone, staring at Wu Jin's number. Then the front door opened. She rushed downstairs to find him bleeding from a cut above his eye, his white shirt torn and bloody. "I'm fine," he said before she could speak. "You're bleeding. I've had worse. Sit down." Nurse mode activated, pushing aside everything else. She guided him to the kitchen, retrieved the first aid kit, and began cleaning his wounds. His eyes tracked her movements, that tiger tattoo on his neck flexing as he swallowed. "You're good at this," he murmured. 3 semesters of nursing school. Her hands worked efficiently, but she felt his proximity in every nerve ending. What happened? Rival family. Nothing you need to worry about. I'm living in your house. Of course I worry. She applied antiseptic and he barely flinched. Do you do this often, come home bleeding? Often enough. That's not reassuring. His hand caught her wrist gently. Would you rather I lie? No. She met his gaze. I'd rather you be safe. I can't promise that. I know. And she did. This was his life. Violence, danger, survival. Caring for him meant accepting that reality. The question was whether she could. Wu Jin's thumb stroked the inside of her wrist, his touch feather-light. The conversation we need to have, it's more important now, because if something happens to me, you and Jordan need to know you're protected. My will. Don't. Fear clutched her chest. Don't talk like that. I have to. My world is dangerous, Zuri. Anyone close to me becomes a target. His grip tightened slightly. Maybe this, whatever this is between us, maybe it's selfish of me to even consider it. What if I'm selfish too, she whispered. His control visibly fractured. Zuri. The kiss happened so naturally she couldn't say who moved first. His lips claimed hers with desperate intensity, one hand sliding into her braids, while the other pulled her against him. This wasn't the survival kiss from the club. This was real, raw, devastating. Zuri responded with equal desperation, her fingers clutching his torn shirt, tasting his need and her own. Heat flooded through her, years of loneliness and exhaustion melting under his touch. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, reality crashed back. That was, she began. A mistake, Wu Jin finished, though his hands remained on her waist, contradicting his words. Was it? It has to be. But he didn't let go. For your sake, what if I can decide what's best for myself? His laugh was rough. You're making this impossible. Good. She pressed her forehead to his. Because I'm terrified, Wu Jin, terrified of wanting you, of what it means, of where this leads. But I can't seem to stop. We need rules. Boundaries. Okay. We take this slowly. No rushing into anything. Agreed. If you want to stop at any point, I'll tell you. She pulled back enough to meet his eyes. But you have to promise me something too. What? Come home alive. Every time. The vulnerability in his expression gutted her. I'll try. It wasn't enough. But in his world, it was all he could offer. They stood in the kitchen, holding each other, knowing they'd crossed a line that changed everything. Outside, Chicago slept, unaware that a Nigerian immigrant and a Korean Mafia boss had just set their worlds on fire. And somewhere in the darkness, enemies watched, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The next 3 weeks felt like living in two worlds. Publicly, Zuri remained Wu Jin's housekeeper. Professional, polite, appropriate. Privately, they navigated the terrifying territory of genuine connection. Stolen moments in empty hallways. Conversations that stretched past midnight. Touches that lingered too long to be accidental. Wu Jin courted her with surprising tenderness. Korean meals appeared from restaurants she'd mentioned wanting to try. Books on nursing appeared in her room with notes in his precise handwriting. Maybe you'll finish your degree someday. He taught Jordan more Korean, his patience with the boy revealing depth Zuri suspected few people ever saw. He's falling for you, Mrs. Chen observed one afternoon, watching Wu Jin help Jordan with homework through the window. I've worked for Mr. Ahn for 10 years, never seen him like this. It's complicated, Zuri said weakly. Love is always complicated. The older woman smiled knowingly. But I see how you look at him too. Did she love him? The question terrified her. Love meant vulnerability, attachment, the possibility of devastating loss, and Wu Jin's life was measured in risk and violence. How could she love someone who might not survive the month? But her heart, inconvenient and insistent, didn't care about logic. The shift happened on a Tuesday. Wu Jin returned home early, his expression troubled. He found Zuri in the garden, where she often went to think. We need to talk, he said without preamble. Her stomach dropped. That sounds ominous. My family is coming to visit. My mother, specifically. He sat beside her on the bench, close enough that their shoulders touched. She's traditional, conservative. She won't approve of you. Because I'm black? The question was direct, necessary. Because you're not Korean, he corrected gently. My mother has specific expectations for my life. Korean wife, Korean children, maintaining cultural purity. She doesn't understand that America changed me, that I've built a different life here. What are you saying? I'm saying she'll be rude, possibly cruel, and I need you to know it's not about you. It's about her inability to accept change. His hand found hers. But I also need you to know that her opinion doesn't matter to me. What matters is you, Jordan, this life we're building. The declaration stunned her. We're building a life, aren't we? His gaze held hers, vulnerable and fierce simultaneously. Unless I've misread everything. You haven't. She squeezed his hand. But Woo Jin, I'm not just some woman you're casually dating. I work for you, I live in your house. If your mother disapproves, if your family pressures you, they can't. His jaw set with determination. I'm the head of this family now. My father died 5 years ago, left me his empire. My mother has influence, yes, but not authority. Not over me. Korean culture values family honor above everything, Zuri said softly, her limited understanding of his world informing her words. Can you really choose me over that? Watch me. The conviction in his voice sent warmth flooding through her, but doubt lingered. What if I'm not worth the cost? Woo Jin turned to face her fully, his hands cupping her face with devastating gentleness. Zuri Okafor, you survived alone in a foreign country, raised a beautiful son, worked yourself to exhaustion to build a better life. You saved my life when you could have run. You see past the monster everyone else fears and somehow find the man underneath. His thumb traced her cheekbone. You're worth everything. She kissed him then, pouring 5 years of loneliness and fear and desperate hope into the connection between them. He responded with equal intensity, his control slipping as he pulled her closer. The garden disappeared, the world narrowing to his mouth on hers, his hands in her braids, the taste of possibility and danger mixed into something intoxicating. When they finally separated, both breathless, Woo Jin pressed his forehead to hers. My mother arrives tomorrow. Whatever happens, remember, you belong here. Do I? The question was barely a whisper. Yes. No hesitation, no doubt. You and Jordan both. That night, Zuri couldn't sleep. She checked on Jordan 3 times, watching her son sleep peacefully in his beautiful room, his belly full, his future bright. Everything Woo Jin had given them could disappear if his family disapproved strongly enough. Korean family structures operated differently than Nigerian ones. She understood obligation, hierarchy, the weight of ancestral expectations. Could she really ask Woo Jin to defy all of that for her? Mrs. Ahn arrived at noon, a small, elegant woman in her 60s, her traditional hanbok immaculate. She swept through the mansion with proprietary familiarity, her sharp eyes cataloguing everything. When those eyes landed on Zuri, the temperature dropped 20 degrees. You're the housekeeper. Not a question. An accusation. Yes, ma'am. Zuri kept her voice steady despite her pounding heart. Welcome to... I'll speak with my son alone. Woo Jin appeared from his study, his expression carefully neutral. Yomeoni, mother. He greeted her with a respectful bow that seemed at odds with his dangerous reputation. They spoke rapidly in Korean, their voices rising and falling with obvious tension. Zuri retreated to the kitchen, her hands shaking as she prepared tea. She didn't need to speak Korean to understand the argument erupting in the study. Jordan found her 20 minutes later, his small face worried. Mama, why is that lady yelling? She's just upset about something, baby, it's okay. Mr. Ahn is yelling too, he never yells. Guilt twisted in her chest. She was causing this, disrupting Woo Jin's family, creating conflict where none had existed before. Maybe Mrs. Chen was wrong. Maybe love wasn't enough when it cost this much. The study door slammed open. Mrs. Ahn emerged, her face flushed with anger, and marched directly to the kitchen. She looked at Zuri with such disdain it felt physical. You think you can trap my son with your poverty and your child? She spat in heavily accented English. You're nothing. A desperate immigrant using her body to climb. That's enough. Woo Jin's voice cracked like a whip. He stepped between them, his posture rigid with barely controlled fury. You will not speak to her like that. She's beneath you. She's the woman I'm falling in love with. The declaration echoed through the kitchen, stunning everyone into silence. And if you can't respect that, you can leave my house. Mrs. Ahn stared at her son, shock and betrayal warring on her face. You would choose this woman, over your family. I would choose happiness over obligation. Yes. Wu Jin's hand found Zuri's, his grip anchoring. You raised me to be strong, Eomioni. Strong enough to make my own choices. This is my choice. Your father would be ashamed. My father would understand that survival requires adaptation. Wu Jin's voice softened slightly. I know this isn't what you envisioned for me. I know you want me to marry a Korean woman, have Korean children, preserve our heritage exactly as you remember it. But I'm not living in Seoul. I'm living in Chicago. And this is my life now. Tears glistened in Mrs. Arn's eyes, pain and love and stubborn tradition colliding visibly. She looked at Zuri again, and this time the hatred had tempered into something more complex. You love him? She asked bluntly. Zuri's throat tightened. Every reason to lie crowded her mind, self-preservation, escape routes, maintaining distance. But Wu Jin's hand in hers demanded honesty. I'm falling in love with him, she admitted. I didn't plan it. I tried to fight it. But yes, I love your son. And the child? Jordan is my son. He comes first in every decision I make. If loving Wu Jin endangers him, I'll walk away, even if it breaks your heart. Especially then. Zuri's voice strengthened. I've survived worse than heartbreak, Mrs. Arn. I've survived poverty, abandonment, immigration, discrimination. I'll survive losing your son if necessary, but I won't apologize for loving him. Something shifted in Mrs. Arn's expression. Respect, perhaps, for Zuri's defiance. She studied them both for a long moment, then spoke in Korean to Wu Jin. He responded firmly, his grip on Zuri's hand never loosening. Finally, Mrs. Arn sighed heavily. I don't approve. But I also don't want to lose my son. She switched to English, addressing Zuri directly. If you hurt him, I'll hurt myself in the process, Zuri finished quietly. Mrs. Arn nodded once, then turned and left without another word. The front door closed behind her with finality. Wu Jin exhaled slowly, tension draining from his shoulders. He pulled Zuri into his arms, holding her tightly enough that she felt his heartbeat against her cheek. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? Causing problems with your family. He pulled back to look at her, his expression fierce. You didn't cause anything. My mother's expectations aren't your burden to carry. His hand cupped her face. And for the record, I meant what I said. I'm falling in love with you, Zuri. Deeply, irrevocably, terrifyingly in love with you. Her breath caught. Wu Jin, you don't have to say it back. I know this is complicated, that I'm asking you to enter a dangerous world, that every day with me comes with risk. She kissed him silent, pouring 5 years of loneliness and hope and desperate longing into the contact. When she finally pulled back, tears streaked her cheeks. I love you too, she said, the words both liberation and terror. God help me, I love you too. His smile was brilliant, transforming his dangerous features into something almost boyish. Then Jordan's voice called from the hallway, breaking the moment but not the spell. Mama, is everything okay? Everything's perfect, baby, Zuri called back, her eyes never leaving Wu Jin's face. For the first time in years she believed it, but outside, in a car parked 3 blocks away, someone watched the mansion through binoculars and smiled coldly. The attack came on a Thursday. Zuri was preparing lunch when the first gunshot shattered the kitchen window. Glass exploded inward, and instinct threw her to the floor. Jordan. Her mind screamed his name. He was upstairs doing homework. She crawled toward the hallway as more gunshots erupted. Systematic, professional, deadly. The security system wailed. Shouts in Korean echoed through the mansion. Jordan! She scrambled up the stairs, terror lending her speed. Bullets punched through walls around her, and she felt one whistle past her shoulder close enough to burn. She found him in his room, frozen with fear under his desk. Baby, come here now. He launched himself into her arms. She ran for Wu Jin's study, the safest room, reinforced walls, panic room access. Her hands shook so badly she could barely work the keypad Wu Jin had taught her. The door slid open. She shoved Jordan inside and followed, sealing them in darkness. Emergency lights activated automatically, casting everything in eerie red. Mama, I'm scared. I know, baby, I know. She held him tight, her mind racing. Where was Wu Jin? Was he alive? The thought of losing him now, after finally admitting what she felt. The panic room phone rang. She grabbed it. "Hello? Zuri." Wu Jin's voice tight with controlled fury. "You're both safe?" "Yes, what's happening?" "The Park family. They've been planning this for months. Hit my businesses, my home, everything simultaneously." Gunfire punctuated his words. "Stay in the panic room. Don't come out until I personally get you. Where are you?" "Handling this." A pause. "I love you. Tell Jordan I love him too." The line went dead. Hours crawled by. Jordan eventually fell asleep in her arms, exhausted by terror. Zuri stayed awake, every creak and distant sound sending her heart racing. She'd known Wu Jin's world was dangerous, but knowing abstractly and experiencing it were vastly different things. Finally, the panic room door opened. Wu Jin stood there, blood-splattered but alive. Zuri nearly collapsed with relief. "It's over," he said quietly. "We won." She wanted to ask what "one" meant in his world, what bodies now lay in morgues, what consequences would ripple from this day. But Jordan stirred, and Wu Jin's face softened as he gathered the boy into his arms. "You're safe now," he murmured. "Both of you. I promise." The mansion was destroyed. Bullet holes, shattered windows, blood-staining marble floors. Wu Jin arranged for them to stay at a safe house while repairs happened. The small apartment felt suffocating after weeks in his estate, but at least they were together. "I can't do this," Zuri said that night after Jordan finally slept. "I can't live in constant fear that you'll die or that someone will hurt my son to get to you." Wu Jin's jaw tightened. "I know. Do you?" Tears streamed down her face. "Today I thought I'd lost you. I thought Jordan might die because I fell in love with a man whose enemies don't hesitate to murder children. How is that fair to him?" "It's not." He moved closer, but she stepped back. "Then what are we doing, Wu Jin? How does this end?" "I don't know." Raw honesty, painful and real. "But I know I can't lose you, either of you. You might not have a choice." His control cracked. Don't walk away because you're scared. We can figure this out." "How?" She gestured helplessly. "Fayu can't leave your world. It's who you are, what you've built. And I can't risk Jordan's life, so what solution exists?" Silence stretched between them, heavy with impossible choices. Finally, Wu Jin spoke, his voice barely audible. "What if I could leave?" "What?" "My world. What if I could walk away from it?" She stared at him, incredulous. "You're the head of your family's empire. You can't just quit." "I could. Transfer power to my cousin, liquidate assets, take you and Jordan somewhere safe." His eyes burned with desperate sincerity. "I've been thinking about it for weeks. Before today, it seemed impossible. Now? Wu Jin, that's your entire life. You're my life now." He closed the distance between them, his hands framing her face. "You and Jordan. Everything else is just surviving. With you, I'm living. Don't you understand? I'd burn down my entire empire if it meant keeping you both safe." "That's insane. Love usually is." She wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that walking away was possible, that they could build a normal life, free from violence and danger. But reality was harsher than fairy tales. "Your enemies won't let you go," she said softly. "The Park family, your rivals, they'll see it as weakness. Come after you harder. Then I'll eliminate them first." His voice turned cold, dangerous. "Every threat, every rival, everyone who might harm you. I'll end them all before I walk away." The ruthlessness in his tone should have terrified her. Instead, it revealed the depth of his commitment. He would literally kill for her, for Jordan, for the chance at peace. "I don't want you to be a murderer for me," she whispered. "I'm already a murderer, Zuri. I've done terrible things to build my power, to survive, to protect my people. Adding a few more bodies to that count to protect the woman I love? That's easy math. Nothing about this is easy." "No." He pressed his forehead to hers. "But it's worth it. You're worth it. So tell me, if I could promise you safety, a real future, Jordan growing up without fear, would you stay with me?" Her heart warred with her head. Logic screamed to run, to protect her son, to choose survival over love. But her heart, traitorous, hopeful, whispered different advice. "Yes," she breathed. "God help me, yes." He kissed her then, desperate and claiming, as though sealing a pact written in blood and hope. And in that moment, Zuri understood she'd crossed a point of no return. Whatever came next, violence, danger, joy, peace, she'd face it with this impossible man who'd somehow become her entire world. The next morning, Wu Jin made calls. Meetings were arranged, plans set in motion. Zuri watched him work with clinical efficiency, eliminating threats and consolidating power with surgical precision. This was the side of him the world feared: cold, calculating, lethal. But when Jordan woke and Wu Jin made the boy pancakes, singing Korean songs off-key, Zuri saw the other side. The man who could be gentle, patient, loving. Both existed in the same person, and somehow she loved all of him. 3 weeks later, the last of Wu Jin's rivals was neutralized. The Park family made peace, forced peace, negotiated through proxies, and sealed with money and threats. Wu Jin's cousin accepted leadership of the family business. Assets were liquidated, money moved offshore, connections severed. "It's done," he told Zuri one evening. "We're free. Just like that. Just like that." He smiled, but exhaustion lined his face. "We leave for California next week. New identities, new life. I've purchased a house in San Diego, small, quiet, near good schools. I'll open a legitimate business, something clean. And you," he pulled out an envelope, "can finish your nursing degree. I've already enrolled you at UC San Diego." Zuri opened the envelope with shaking hands. Acceptance letter, full scholarship, housing stipend, everything she'd dreamed of, impossible and real simultaneously. How? Large donations open doors. His smile turned wry. Blood money buying redemption. Poetic, isn't it? She should have felt guilty accepting this. Opportunities purchased through violence and crime. But as she looked at the acceptance letter, then at Jordan playing happily nearby, then at the man who'd sacrificed everything for them, guilt seemed like a luxury she couldn't afford. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet. Starting over isn't easy. There will be moments you resent leaving Chicago, moments you miss your independence, moments you question if this was worth it. Will there be moments I regret loving you?" His eyes softened. "I hope not. Then we'll be fine." She kissed him gently. "Because love is the only part of this I'm certain about." The words were a promise and a prayer, hope wrapped in faith that somehow, despite everything, they'd found their way to each other. But in the shadows, one enemy remained, patient, watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. San Diego was everything Chicago wasn't: sunshine, ocean, space to breathe. The house Wu Jin purchased sat in a quiet neighborhood where children played in yards and neighbors waved in passing. Normal, safe, almost boring. Zuri had never been so grateful for boring in her life. Jordan thrived. His new school was excellent, his nightmares fading as weeks passed without gunfire or fear. He made friends easily, his laughter filling their home with light. Watching him play soccer with neighborhood kids, Zuri sometimes forgot the terror of those final Chicago days. Wu Jin struggled more. He'd spent 20 years building an empire, and walking away left him restless and purposeless. The legitimate business he'd opened, a Korean restaurant, gave him something to do. But Zuri saw the shadows in his eyes. Leaving his world cost him more than he'd admitted. "Do you regret it?" she asked one night as they sat on their patio, ocean breeze cooling the California heat. "Leaving?" He considered the question seriously. "Some days. I miss the power, the respect, the clarity of purpose. In that world I knew who I was. And here I'm figuring it out." He took her hand. "But I don't regret you, or Jordan, or this chance at something real." Her nursing program started in the fall, and the excitement terrified her. After years of abandoned dreams, actually pursuing her degree felt surreal. Wu Jin supported her unconditionally, taking over homework duty with Jordan, meal prep, household tasks. Their roles reversed in ways that might have emasculated a lesser man, but Wu Jin seemed content, letting her chase her dreams while he built their foundation. They were happy, genuinely, surprisingly happy. Then Mrs. Ahn called. "She wants to visit," Wu Jin told Zuri after hanging up, his expression unreadable. "Next month, to see how we're living." Anxiety twisted Zuri's stomach. Their last encounter had ended in tentative truce, but Mrs. Ahn's approval remained uncertain. "What did you tell her?" That she's welcome if she can be respectful. His jaw set stubbornly. This is our home, our life. She doesn't get to judge it. But when Mrs. Ahn arrived, something had shifted. She was softer somehow, less rigid. She brought gifts for Jordan, Korean children's books, traditional toys. She complimented Zuri's cooking. And when she saw Woo Jin in the restaurant kitchen, cooking bulgogi with obvious contentment, tears glistened in her eyes. "You're happy," she said to him in Korean. "I am," he replied. "Because of her? Because of them, both of them." Mrs. Ahn switched to English, addressing Zuri directly. "I was wrong about you. Not about everything. You're still not what I envisioned for my son, but you love him. You make him happy, that's enough. The approval shouldn't have mattered so much." But relief flooded Zuri anyway. One less obstacle, one less source of conflict. That evening, as Mrs. Han played with Jordan and Woo Jin prepped dinner, Zuri stood in their kitchen and felt overwhelming gratitude. This life, impossible just months ago, was real. They were building something beautiful from ashes and blood and desperate hope. But peace, as she'd learned, was fragile. The man entered the restaurant on a Tuesday afternoon, middle-aged, Korean, vaguely familiar. He ordered food, ate slowly, watched Woo Jin with predatory interest. Something about him set Zuri's nerves screaming. "You know him?" she asked Woo Jin quietly. His expression had gone cold. "Park Min-soo, the Park family's youngest son. I thought you made peace with them." "We did." Woo Jin's hand rested on her lower back, protective and tense. "He's not supposed to be here." Park Min-soo approached the counter, his smile friendly but his eyes lethal. "Woo Jin-ah, long time. What do you want?" "Just wanted to see if the rumors were true." The great Woo Jin-an reduced to flipping bulgogi in California. His gaze slid to Zuri. "And this must be the woman worth abandoning your empire for. Pretty. Exotic." The racist undertone made Zuri's skin crawl. Woo Jin stepped slightly in front of her, his posture screaming danger. "You have 5 seconds to leave before I forget we have a truce. Relax. I'm not here to cause problems." Park Min-soo's smile widened. "Just wanted to deliver a message. My brother, the one you killed, his son is turning 18 next month. Old enough to seek revenge. Old enough to understand family honor." Ice flooded Zuri's veins. "You said this was over." "It's never over," Park Min-soo replied. "You can run, change your name, play house in California. But our world? It doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive." He turned to leave, then paused. "Watch your son, Woo Jin. Accidents happen to children all the time." Woo Jin moved so fast, Zuri barely registered it. One moment Park Min-soo was walking away. The next, Woo Jin had him slammed against the wall, forearm across his throat. "Touch my family, hint at touching them, even think about them. And peace means nothing." Woo Jin growled in Korean, then English. "I walked away from my empire, but I didn't walk away from who I am. You remember who I am, Min-soo?" "A killer," the man choked out. "Exactly. And if anything happens to Zuri or Jordan, anything at all, I'll burn the Park family to ash. Every single one. Understand?" He released Park Min-soo, who stumbled away, coughing. The message delivered, the threat made, the man fled. Zuri's legs barely held her. "He threatened Jordan." "I know." Woo Jin's hands were shaking, rage barely contained. "I'm ending this tonight." "How?" "The only way that works. Permanently." She understood what he meant. More violence, more death. The peace they'd built was an illusion, a temporary reprieve from a world that never truly released its hold. "I'm coming with you," she said. "Absolutely not. He threatened our son, Woo Jin, our son. You don't get to protect me from this anymore." Steel entered her voice. "I'm not some delicate flower who needs shielding. I survived Nigeria. I survived immigration. I survived poverty. I can survive this." He studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "You'll do exactly what I say. No arguments." No arguments. They left Jordan with Mrs. Han, who asked no questions, a skill learned from decades as a gangster's wife. The drive back to Chicago took hours, Woo Jin making calls in rapid Korean, mobilizing people he'd thought he'd left behind. The Park family compound sat in the suburbs, ostentatious and fortified. Wu Jin's remaining loyalists had already surrounded it, men who'd followed him for years, who'd missed their dangerous boss. "This ends tonight," Wu Jin told them in Korean. "The Parks threatened my family. That means they all die." Zuri should have been horrified, should have protested, demanded mercy, insisted on legal solutions. But when she thought of Jordan, of that man's cold threat, maternal fury overrode every civilized instinct. "Do what you need to do," she told Wu Jin. He kissed her once, fierce and claiming, then led his men into hell. Zuri waited in the car, listening to gunfire and screams, praying Wu Jin survived this. She'd asked him to become a murderer for her, for their family. That weight would never fully lift. When he finally emerged, blood-spattered but alive, relief nearly destroyed her. "It's done," he said simply. "The Parks are finished. All of them. All? Everyone who was a threat." His eyes were cold, empty. "Their youngest son, Park Min-soo's nephew. I gave him a choice. Leave the country, never return, or die like his family. He chose life. And the others? Don't ask questions you don't want answered." She nodded, accepting the darkness necessary to protect their light. They drove back to San Diego in silence, both carrying weight that would never fully lighten. Mrs. An left the next day without comment. She'd seen the blood on her son's clothes, the emptiness in his eyes. She knew what he'd done, and judging by her expression, she approved. "Family protects family," she told Zuri before leaving. "No matter the cost." The words echoed long after she departed. 2 years later, Zuri walked across the stage, accepting her nursing degree with pride and disbelief. Jordan cheered from the audience, Wu Jin beside him, both beaming. She'd done it. Despite everything, poverty, immigration, single motherhood, falling in love with a former gangster, she'd achieved her dream. That evening they celebrated at Wu Jin's restaurant, which had become a neighborhood staple. He'd found peace in cooking, in feeding people, in building something legitimate and meaningful. The shadows still haunted him sometimes, but less frequently now. "I'm proud of you," he told her as they cleaned up after closing, Jordan asleep in the back office. "I couldn't have done it without you. You could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to." He pulled her close, swaying to imaginary music. "Do you remember that night at the club, when you kissed me to save my life? How could I forget? I think I fell in love with you right then. Terrified, desperate, and still brave enough to act." His lips brushed her temple. "You saved my life twice. Once from poison, once from myself. And you saved mine," she whispered. "From poverty, from fear, from giving up on dreams." They stood in their restaurant, holding each other, listening to Jordan's soft snores. Outside, San Diego lived its peaceful existence, unaware of the violence and love and sacrifice that had brought them here. Zuri's phone buzzed. A text from her mother in Lagos. "So proud of my daughter. The nurse. When do I meet this man who stole your heart?" She showed Wu Jin, who smiled. "Should I be nervous?" "Terrified. My mother is scarier than any gangster." He laughed, real, genuine, free. And in that moment, Zuri knew they'd made the right choice. Love wasn't safe or convenient or easy. But it was worth every risk, every sacrifice, every impossible decision. "I love you," she said. "I love you too," he replied. "Always." The kiss that had started everything had led them here, to safety, to family, to futures they'd once thought impossible. And as they locked up the restaurant and headed home with their son, Zuri finally believed in happy endings. Not perfect ones, not easy ones, but real ones, built from blood and hope and love, fierce enough to survive anything.